What's happening? Rob here. Old City Vapor with another Weird Wednesday video. What's been going on? Anything weird been happening in your part of the world that I should know about? Maybe I should know about it. But you know me, I love hearing you guys' stories. Whilst drinking blue Gatorade. That's probably not good for me. So anyway, not much to report here at the hacienda, my house, as of lately. Nothing really freaky has happened since last week, except for one thing where we were watching some videos or something last night, and my wife gets home usually 11:30, something like that. Made her some dinner or something she could have to eat when she got in, and we're hanging out watching some Netflix, and we're just sitting there vaping, chilling, and she's like, "Perfume's back." I'm like, "Yes, it is." And there's the cigarettes. Yes, it is. And it was gone. No big deal. Dogs didn't even wake up. They were all chilled out, sprawled out, and just hanging. No weird noises, no bumps, no bangs, no clanging, no nothing. Not like lasted like a minute or less even. No lingering around. Just here, bam, smack you in the face. Cigarette follows up, then gone. And that's it. That's the only thing weird that's happened. And that's like kind of like a normality right around these parts here. So anyway, nothing to report as far as other weirdness goes. So I got another story lined up for you though, because I got no lack of stories, and this one revolves around the oldest store and museum. And you may be saying, well, what do you know about that? How are you linked to that? Well, I'll tell you. Back in the day, my dad used to run that place. And he was like, I don't know, like the manager or whatever. My dad worked there. My mom worked there. My brother worked there. My aunt worked there a bit. And I don't know, probably a few other family members worked there. And yeah, my parents kind of ran the place for the most part. They didn't own it, but they were there day in, day out. My brother used to sell peanuts and popcorn. He had this cart, where he'd make them and everything. And he'd be out front, selling that or doing whatever, My dad used to ride the big wheel bike, and, the big giant wheel with the little wheel in the back. And he was just the general go-to guy for pretty much all kinds of stuff there. Place was huge. I will include a couple of pictures right now. So there you have it. You can tell it's a pretty good sized building. Everybody dressed the part too. You could tell by the picture. My dad wore the white shirt, black pants, the little tie, or sometimes a bow tie. A lot of times wore a derby hat. Everybody that worked there, the men and the women, male, female, whatever, they all dressed the part. The place was as authentic as it could possibly be, and it was a full working general store. They sold all kinds of stuff, and it was a museum as well. There used to be a candy store in there, which I was a big fan of as a kid. Probably why I'm so fat now. But anyway, that's another story. Um, they had this big wooden barrels of, you know, real dill pickles, and I used to grab one of those all the time. Sometimes like three, and then I'd end up with a hell of a stomach ache. And you know, my mom would be like, "I told you not to eat so many of them damn good pickles." But they were so good, you know. Big wooden Indian out front. That dude always amazed me, and I always wanted to take him home. Big old wooden Indian, real wooden Indian, pretty cool looking. But anyway, you get it. You know, you saw the pictures. It was a big place, authentic, a working general store, like from the day way back, and you know, also a museum. They had a blacksmith area that was a full working blacksmith area. The old guy that used to work there, his name was Mr. Bruff, and the dude was a genius when it came to making stuff authentically blacksmithing. Anything you could imagine he could make out of metals or whatever. The dude was like a metal wizard. And every year for Halloween, he would diverge and make this kid here the coolest jack-o'-lantern known to man. He was also a wizard with a pumpkin. And not just, you know, little triangle eyes and a jagged mouth. No, these things were works of art, and every year it would be different. You know, some funny, some kind of creepy. Me, I would always kind of, hey, make a creepy one, you know. I would always lean to the creepy side. Go figure, huh? So yeah, I used to hang out with him a lot. He was cool, always really, really good with me. Would show me how to do things. I was always amazed by the big, huge billow, you know, that would stoke the fire, and it was kind of weird. But yeah, I used to just love hanging out there in the blacksmith area, or the candy shop, where the two old ladies would work that would always hook me up. My mom would be like, "No more candy. Don't give them any more candy," and they'd always, you know, slide me some like rock candy or some kind of taffy or something. There was tons of it, just tons of it in there. Redonkulous. But anyway, all through the rest of the store and the museum, there was cases with old guns and old rifles and walls of canned goods, and there was like a barbershop area set up. There was just all kinds of stuff. And like in the barbershop area, it wasn't a working barbershop. They were like wax mannequins that I'm assuming came from like Potter's Wax Museum or something, which is another video down the road. But you know, it was just an old barber there, and it kind of always freaked me out as a kid. You know, had those watching eyes that you would walk by, and they would just be like, they seemed to follow you but never moved. Or did they? I don't know. But yeah, just tons of old stuff in there. Like I say, the place was authentic. I've been in places now, you know, the old country store. They don't even hold a candle to what this place used to be. It was closed down and set empty for, well, set closed for I don't know how many years, quite a few years, and just rather recently, in the last few years, it's been reopened, but it has also been relocated to a new location. Get it? You know, relocated. It is now conveniently by the old jail. So it's the old jail and the oldest store museum. Coincidental. Yeah, it's a tourist town. What can I say? But I haven't been in there. I haven't been in there since they opened it. Supposedly they brought everything from its original place over to the new place. Haven't been in there. Talking to my mom about it the other day, and she's been wanting to go in there. You know, she hasn't been in there either. She wants to go in and see if they really brought everything over, and see if they do as good a job as my parents used to do years ago, years and years and years ago. But I can't imagine it. No. But anyway, like I say, I haven't been in there, so I won't judge. But we're talking about maybe making a trip over there and going playing tourist in our own town and going and checking it out and see if they have pictures of my mom and dad in there. It's one restaurant I used to go to had a picture of my dad hanging up in there, big huge picture. The place closed down, and I'm like, dude, I want the painting, I want that picture. I'll pay for it. However much you want, I'll pay for it. They wouldn't give it to me, wouldn't even talk to me about it. They didn't believe it was my dad, anyways. And I've held a grudge ever since, because I don't know where the painting went, the picture, whatever it was. Don't know where it went. Hopefully, it's in the new place. That would be cool. I'd be okay with that. I'd still try to buy it from them though, even though they probably wouldn't sell it to me. But back to the oldest store museum. Like I said, the whole place was huge. You saw the picture, big, working store, blacksmith area, old cars. There were some cars in there. There was some other stuff in there. Place was full, chock full of old stuff. And there was an upstairs to it. And the upstairs was like the stock room. And I used to hang out up there a lot. They put me to work. They'd give me jobs to do, like unpacking a box or putting price stickers on items or, whatever, stuff that a kid could do without wreaking too much havoc. And a lot of times they'd put me, up in the stock room doing it. And a lot of times I'd be doing homework or, a puzzle or like a craft thing or something my mom set me up with. Kind of keep me busy, but keep me out of the way. How little kids can tend to find trouble even though there's none to be found. They'll find it. That was me. But anyway, I'd hang out upstairs a lot, and I'd be doing something, whether it was, like I say, putting stickers on stuff or whatever. And occasionally somebody would come upstairs, to get something out of the stock area. There were these rows of, shelves with boxes full of stuff. It was well-stocked stock room. So occasionally, somebody'd come up, and they'd, hey, and they'd talk to me or come over and see what I was doing, chit-chat, And there was this one old lady that used to come up, and she'd come up, and, let me start over. I would be up there, and I would hear noises in the stock room. This is where it takes the creepy turn. I'd hear noises, like somebody shuffling around or whatever. And, whatever. Didn't really bother me. Didn't make me feel weird or anything. But I'd wonder, what it is. And, well, I started seeing this lady come up. I'd hear the steps, the boards kind of creaking, Everywhere in the whole place was wooden floors. Ain't no carpet in this place. It was all, old wooden floors. So I'd hear the steps kind of creaking, and I'd hear the floors creaking. And a couple of times, I'd look over and I see this old lady walk by, and I just think, oh, getting something for the, downstairs. And this happened, I don't know, several times. And I'm like, wonder why she never says anything to me. Kind of strange. A couple of times I'd see her come up, and I'd see her go back down, the steps. Never thought much about it. And one day I asked my mom. I was like, "Who's the new lady that comes up?" I said, "I never see her down here, but I've seen her upstairs a few times. Who is she?" My mom was like, well, "Who are you talking about? There's no new lady. There's nobody been hired recently." And I'm like, "No, and I described her, she's wearing the bonnet and, the whole 9 yards. And she was like, I don't know who you're talking about. Is it one of the ladies from the candy store?" I'm like, no, they're both old. They got, gray hair, and they're old ladies. And this lady I see, she's got kind of brown hair, she's dressed full on, just like the rest of y'all, She's like, "We haven't hired anybody new." So I'm like, "Oh yeah, whatever, So I'm up there again one afternoon, doing my thing, and hear the steps. Who's coming up the steps? And I'm like, is it going to be this mystery lady again? I look, and it's one of the ladies from the candy shop. She came over and talked to me, went back down. As soon as she went back down, I heard the steps again. I'm like, oh, she's coming back. And, I'm doing my thing, not paying attention. And I kind of look over and I see somebody walk by. I'm like, I'll see who it is when they come back. Didn't hear them come back. Whatever, I guess I missed them. So I'm back doing my thing, and I hear this kind of shuffling, bumping around. What's that? So I get up, and I go and I look down some of the aisles, and I don't see anybody. Well, that's weird. It sounded like somebody was moving boxes or something. I don't know. A few days go by, I'm back up there again. I'm like doing a puzzle or something. And I look up, hear the noise coming up the steps, kind of shuffling noise. And I'm watching, see who's coming around the corner this time. I see this old lady walk by. And I was kind of like, hey! Just kept walking. I'm like, well, that's kind of rude. I just spoke to her. I know I'm a little kid, but the least they could do is acknowledge me. I just wanted to talk to this lady and see who she was. Didn't say anything. A few minutes later, I see her walk back by, like she's going back down the steps. And I'm thinking, whatever. Don't talk to me, fine. Go on, do your thing. Weird lady. Another week or so, up there again. Same thing. Hear the steps. I look over. I see this lady walk by. Plain as day. I speak up. I'm like, hey, what's your name? She stops and does one of these. Turn around, kept walking. Didn't say a word. So I'm like, I've had it. I'm going to go talk to her and ask her what's up. So I get up, I walk around, down a little area around the corner there. I look down the aisle. She ain't there. So I'm looking down the other aisles. Nowhere to be found. So now I'm thinking, did she just go back out of here and I didn't see it? What happened? What's going on? Like Willis. Say what? What you talking about, Willis? Yeah. So now I'm thinking, well, that's kind of weird. Talked to my mom again about it. And she's like, there's nobody new. I don't know who you think you're seeing, but there's that description, that person is not here. And now I'm thinking, is my mom messing with me? Is my mind playing tricks on me? I don't know. A few more days go by. Same thing. Same exact thing. A couple other people had come up, They spoke. They, did their thing. Could see them, no big deal. Here comes the old lady again. Well, I won't say old, because she wasn't really old. She was, when you're a little kid, any adult looks old. But there's a difference in old and gray-haired and wrinkled and just like old, probably 40s or something like that. I see her walk by. And I'm like, I got to figure out how to trap her. And I'm looking around, there's all these boxes, and I'm thinking a box with the stick and the string, I'm put a biscuit under there or something, And I'm like, I got to figure out how to talk to this lady and ask her what the deal is. Same thing, get up, go look for her. She's gone. She gone. Nobody is there. And I'm thinking, now I'm questioning my own. I'm like, did I really just see this or what? And it wasn't no wispy, there wasn't no ghost looking thing. It looked like a person, like you could touch them and they might smack you back. So I'm just kind of not understanding it, not figuring it out. But it wasn't freaking me out. It wasn't scary or anything. She didn't look at me and like horns and teeth come out or anything. She just, stopped that once or twice and just looked at me and turned around and kept walking. So this would happen, like, not just once or twice. It happened a bunch. And my mom, of course, nobody would be up there. When there was one or two people up there, I'd never see the old lady. Of course not. No, I was always by myself. And that just drove me nuts because I wanted to show her to somebody and say, "See, who she be?" Because nobody believed me. Everybody was like, I tell everybody, and whatever, imaginary friend. I'm like, no, if I had an imaginary friend, they'd like come over and sit down and talk to me, and we'd like chat it up or something. And I mean, if I'm gonna have an imaginary friend, the least they can do is talk to me, right? So it's happened every now and again. It would happen. And I'm finally figuring out that either I'm hallucinating or I'm really seeing something that nobody else is seeing. And I talked to the old man, Mr. Bruff, I told him what happened. And he's like, "Oh, yeah, boy, I've been here years, and there's some strange things that happen around here." But he wasn't like, I got the feeling he wasn't telling me all the news because he didn't want to freak me out. But, I've been here for years. Yeah, you hear noises, and I could tell you some stories, but I won't. And I'm like, no, man, tell me the stories. Come on. Help a kid out here because I'm confused. And never did, like, tell me anything, just that he had heard things and occasionally seen a few things here and there. So, one day I'm sitting there. I mean, this had gone on for like months and months and months. And I'm sitting there one day and I'm doing my thing. I hear the steps. I hear somebody coming up the steps. And I'm always looking if it's somebody I know or if it's mystery lady. And sometimes, most of the time, it would be somebody just coming up the steps to get something out of the stock room. But I was always looking. Anytime I heard them steps, stop what I'm doing and just be putting a bead on it. I look, see that old lady, and I was like, "Hey!" And I stood up. She stopped and looked at me. Kind of gave me like the somewhat of a grin and started walking. I'm like, "Oh, hell no, I'm following you." I jumped up and I ran over there and I turned the corner and she was all the way down at the end of the aisle. And and that was kind of weird because she had to like sprint because it was like 60 feet. So that was weird. And she's standing down at the end. She turned around, looked at me, turned back around, and then walked into the wall and disappeared. And now you're going, "Oh, he's making it up." Nope, that's what I saw. And I just stood there going, because I wasn't believing what I just saw. She just looked like a normal person that just walked into the wall and disappeared. And when I say disappeared, she just disappeared. And I didn't see her anymore after that. She left me hanging. I never did get to talk to her. She never, well, take that back. I talked, but she never answered me. So, I don't know. It was weird. It was, like I say, it was nothing creepy, nothing evil, nothing, threatening or anything, but very mystifying to me as a young child that was kept seeing this person. I got no idea who she was. I described her to my mom, to everybody else that worked there, and they're just like, no. And talking to the old blacksmith guy, Mr. Bruff, I told him straight up, I'm like, dude, here's the story. Here's what I've been seeing. And he was like a quarter of the way into the story, he was like, mm-hmm. And I'm thinking he's thinking I'm full of it. You know, he's going to blow me off at any second. And he's like, he listened to me and he's like, I'll just say, as many years as I've been here, I've seen some strange things before. And, yep, who you described to me sounds like a person I've seen quite a few times here. And I don't know who they are either. And I'm like, well, she walked through the wall, and I haven't seen her since. And he's like, I haven't seen her for a long time. So, no, I don't think you're crazy, boy. There's just some things we can't explain. So that made it all better. Because I still, to this day, I'm like, who was she? What was she? Why was she there? What was she going? Where was she going? Where had she been? Where is she now? I got a lot of questions. But I don't got no answers. So what do you think? I don't know. A lot of my stories don't have answers, but I know I wasn't seeing things. I thought I was at one point. Being a little kid, I'm like, maybe there's something wrong with me. Maybe my mind is playing tricks on me. But I saw it so many times that I knew I wasn't hallucinating. And then when the old blacksmith guy told me that he had seen that lady that I described several times himself, but he wasn't worried about it. It was just some things you can't explain, boy. So that's what I went with. I don't know. She could have came over and helped me price all those items I was doing. That would have been cool. I tried to be friends, but she was having none of it. She just up and appeared and walked through the wall at the end of the lane of boxes and shelves, and she gone. And that's the end of it. That's all I got. Oh, I got plenty more stories, but that's all for this Weird Wednesday. So there you go. There you have it. I'm out of here, and we'll talk to you next Wednesday. Thanks for watching as always, and stay creepy.